Hey everyone, time for another book review. This week I will be rounding out the Last Policeman series with World of Trouble by Ben H. Winters. So this is book 3 of the trilogy, and I'm going off notes today because while it was still good, it was probably my least favorite of the 3 books. And it didn't leave me with, like, the other books kind of left me with a, wow, I really want to talk about this and I want to tell people about this. It didn't really give me that same oomph, you know. And furthermore, storyline wise, you know, you heard me mention in the other 2 videos, like, I'm not a huge fan of Hank's sister, Nico. You know, she just seems very, like, self-absorbed and very, what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulative and very, very stubborn, but in an annoying way. You know, I'm all for people sticking to their guns and going with gut instincts. I mean, that's pretty much what Hank Palace did in the first book, where everyone was saying, dude, it's a suicide, and he managed to prove that it wasn't. But in her case, it was just, I don't know. Just to refresh your memory, so Nico is Hank's sister, and she has gotten herself involved with some group that is convinced that there is a scientist somewhere with the answer to pushing the asteroid off course far enough to make it past Earth. And, you know, the entire time Hank is like, dude, you know, that's a pipe dream. It's not true. It ain't gonna happen. You know, you're wasting your time with these people. You know, what do they really want from you? And in this book, you know, it turns out Hank was right. Turns out the entire group was run by a con man who pretty much saw an opportunity. Very narcissistic guy, but very my brain is not working today. He can bend people to his will and convince people to follow him and do things, even questionable things, morally questionable things, like killing other people or getting other people killed. Turns out he ran the entire outfit, and then once everyone got into the bunker and had all the supplies, he drugged them all and killed them. So, unfortunately, Nico becomes a casualty of his group. You know, they go into plan B mode, you know, oh, the scientist isn't going to be here, it's not going to happen, you know, get in this bunker, you know, come with me if you want to leave. And she says, no, I'm going out on my own against this stubborn streak. I'm going out on my own. So, you know, Mr. Narcissist goes down and he's like, she left us, da-da-da. You're weak, you need to go prove your loyalty and, you know, go kill her. So she does. And it turns into this whole big thing, and I felt like this book also was a little more predictable. For instance, the character Lily, she is actually the first person that they find, and they find her in the middle of the forest, her throat slit. Backing up a little bit, so Hank Palace decides, I'm going to go find my sister, and they end up in this police station in Ohio. I should have mentioned that up front. So setting, abandoned police station in Ohio, where the group has been told that a scientist will be brought for extraction. So they get there, and, you know, no one's there, everyone's gone, presumably they're down in a bunker. And they, you know, they're looking around, they see a blood trail, they find a girl, her throat is slit, but she's still alive. And then, you know, she leads them to where Nico is in the forest. And that alone is like, I kind of saw where the rest of the story was going as far as where Lily was found, or where Lily was involved, because, you know, okay, how did she know where Nico was, and, why did they manage to kill Nico with, that deep a cut in her throat, but they didn't kill this other girl, and it just, I don't know. It just kind of hit me as weird. So, for me, this book had a lot less oomph, and a lot less. It didn't make me think as much, if that makes sense. And I won't say I was disappointed, because I wasn't. I think he did very well for rounding out the series. One of the parts that I did like best was they work in this Amish family who the patriarch ends up being the person who kind of seals this bunker. And Hank tracks him down and he tries to chase Hank off his land. And turns out the patriarch knows that the meteor is coming. He overheard it on the radio or something. But he doesn't want his family to know. He is taking on the burden of carrying this knowledge so that they can continue to live, unperturbed and, peacefully, and continue to do what they're supposed to do as Amish people. Hank does seek shelter with them in the end. And I thought that was kind of cool. I did think it was kind of cool how they worked that in, in the midst of the entire world losing its mind. This asteroid is coming, people are doing the bucket list thing, people are killing themselves, people are killing other people. In the midst of all that, you can have peace. Granted, the peace is because of ignorance, but it fulfills the old adage, ignorance is bliss. But in the end, he does seek shelter with them, and you do get a mention of the sky starting to brighten around noon on October 3rd. So presumably that's a meteor, making its way to touchdown. So what I will say is this book did make me think about pretty much it's the last 2 weeks. It's the last days. And Hank has left his safe haven up in Western Massachusetts at the police house to go find his sister. And, he ends up finding out she's dead. Someone murdered her. He does figure out who her murderer is, which is good. He gets some peace at the end. And what it made me think about is, it's kind of like what they wrote in the summary. How far would you go to, be with your family, and how far would you go for them? And it just, I still don't have a really good answer for what I would do. Like, if I know for a fact that, an asteroid is coming and, so forth and so on. I actually saw a meme going around the internet this past week, interestingly enough, asking, if you knew an asteroid was coming in 15 minutes, what would you do? And, I said, I would, group hug with my kids and Skype with family to say goodbye. But in this situation where, there's no internet, no phones, no real infrastructure, if you want to get somewhere, you're taking your life in your hands. Especially for me as a woman, there's a difference between a guy sleeping out in public and a woman sleeping out in public, especially when people are getting desperate. So you're really kind of taking your life in your hands. How far would you go? And thinking about it, I know, I would want to be with my mom, and I would, probably at least want to say goodbye to my mom and my sister. But in that sort of setting, I'm fairly certain, I haven't actually asked, but I'm fairly certain my mom would want me to stay put. Not to take that chance just to come down, especially if I am in a safe place with lots of supplies and, other people who are going to help keep me safe, and I'm helping to keep them safe. She wouldn't want me to give that up. And I don't think my sister would either. And they would probably prefer that I be with my kids and I be with my family and, be there to help guide the kids and help them be less scared. Because that's another thing is, if I just up and disappeared in order to be with my mom and sister, or to, say goodbye to them, or, figure out, oh, I haven't heard from them, I wonder where they went. I think my family would be more pissed off at me than anything else, and my kids would, it wouldn't help. So, in Hank Palace's, mm, long story short, I don't think I would go to the length Hank did, because in a couple days, what is it going to matter anyway? Um, it would come down to that, we're under the same sky and that's good enough, or that's going to have to be good enough. I think that would end up being, that would pretty much be it for me. Um, so guys, if you knew, an asteroid was coming, whether you want to take the 15-minute meme question or the 2-week timeline in this book, what would you do? Would you leave a safe place to go find your sister or sibling or, insert relative here? If you knew they were off on some cockamamie, cult group mission, would you go to try to find them? Or would you, let go and let God? I think that would be my answer. Like, I would probably just stay put. I think the answer is different for everyone. I don't think there's a wrong answer. So, feel free, hit the comments below and let me know. I did feel like he rounded out the series well. It was a good ending. It kind of left it open that yes, the asteroid is hitting, but, what exactly is going to happen. He did end up finding a safe place of sorts for him and a puppy. Yay, puppy. Unfortunately, he did lose his sister in the process. He did lose the Cortez, the guy, the thief that he took with him to go find her. He did end up losing him, but he got to solve one more murder. He got to figure out one last puzzle, and in here you really see him develop as an unofficial detective. Like, he does really well. And again, you see that emphasis on doing things right, processing the scene correctly, and, doing his best not to jump to conclusions. He does try to do right by people. At one point, Lily is unconscious they put her in the prison cell, and he gives her an IV and is trying to rehydrate her. And when he sets out to go find a sledgehammer to try to break into the bunker, he actually locks the prison door because something tells him, like, I might want to take precautions against Cortez. And turns out he was right, because when he comes back, Cortez is like PO'd that he locked the door with the girl inside so he couldn't get to her. So you see that happen, and that was kind of cool. That was kind of funny. And there was one mention, I'm not sure if I actually bookmarked the page. This was one of those, I actually didn't bookmark many pages in this one. I don't think I did. But there's one passage, like throughout the series, you heard him, sorry, there's a fly buzzing around in case you see it. There is, like, throughout the series, you hear or read that he hears different people telling him things, and not like in a, mentally imbalanced kind of way, but in a, I can hear my mom's voice reminding me, I can hear, my sister, laughing at me, like scoffing, or, being a wise acre, towards me, but in this book, he actually comes out and says, like, I have to remember all those voices that, I ascribe to other people. It's actually coming from me. And it seems like a really simple thing, like, well, no, duh. But, all these things that you're like, oh, I can hear my mom remembering or reminding me or blah, blah, blah. But it's not, like I said, it's not that mentally imbalanced, like I'm hearing voices. And it's not paranormal either, like I heard a breath, then I heard a disembodied voice. No, it's actually the internalized wisdom. So all the wisdom that he is ascribing to other people, he realizes that that's actually coming from me. It's all me. And that, it's kind of like that confidence boost. Like, for me, I always think about, my professors and my teachers, and specific lessons I learned from them. But again, when I remember it, it's not coming from them, it's coming from within me. And that's that extra confidence boost. Like, hey, I do remember something. Hey, I did internalize this. Hey, I did grow as a person, as a detective, as a brother, as a whatever. Um, and it's a little oomph. That's like the one little oomph I got out of this story. The writing is consistent with the rest of the series. I haven't read anything else of Ben Winter's work, so I can't compare it to other books and other voices. But I felt like this with the other books was very consistent. The story was very consistent. Like I said, I was kind of able to predict the end a lot earlier, and for me, it was less interesting because it was really focused around finding Nico, and I don't like Nico. So, I mean, maybe that makes me a bad person, but it was just like, I don't care, But, that's just me. So, that's my review. I gave it 4 stars. The other books I gave 5 stars. I gave this one 4 stars. And like I said, I'm going, off notes. So I didn't write down the Goodreads average rating, but I do recommend it, as the end to a series, for completion's sake. I do recommend it. I will be checking out more of Ben Winter's work. I think he's a great writer. I'm definitely interested to see what else he's got to write about and say. Hit me up in the comments below if you've read this, if you liked my review of the series, if you've started reading it, what you think. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to see more videos like this. Otherwise, what do I have in the works? I am reading a book now called The Girl with All the Gifts. I might have mentioned it on another video. I've been reading it for a while. I actually put it down for like 2 weeks. It's kind of like a zombie horror, not really sci-fi, but horror kind of story. And that's leading up to The Boy on the Wall, I think is the sequel that came out this year. So I'm working on that. What else do I have? I'm actually reading a Wonder Woman graphic novel, Wonder Woman graphic novel that my husband borrowed from the library. I'm reading that, and I will not be doing a video on that. I would not presume to provide commentary on a graphic novel since I am the relative noob to the graphic novel world. But other than that, that's about it. So hit like, hit subscribe, let me know what you think, and until next time, readers, have a great day.